One season ends, another must begin. And while the regular season is complete for the Area Truck Series season, there are still 5 rounds remaining in 2023. We're now forced to eliminate 4 drivers every 2 weeks, leaving us with a final 4 in the finale. Tonight, that journey begins just west of Chicago in Joliet, Illinois. Welcome to Chicagoland, a suburban sprawl with one of NASCAR's newest tracks, the 1.5-mile Chicagoland Speedway, a venue fit for a 120-lap race tonight. Hi, everyone. Welcome back to SimTV and the Area Truck Series Playoffs, round 1 of 5. I'm Kyle Heyer, joined by Connor Horn tonight. Connor, welcome to my home city, Chicago, but just west, about 40 miles to the southwest, in fact, to Joliet, Illinois. And Chicagoland Speedway, built in 2001, one of NASCAR's newest tracks, but it is aged with grace. And although it's no longer on the real NASCAR calendar, it still puts on a heck of a show in iRacing.
Certainly does. We even saw it the next-gen cars last night put on a heck of a show there in a rather green flag race. Track, like you said, built in 01, aged awesomely. It races so amazingly. Sad that we don't go here just 22 years after its original date, but it still provides a lot of action on iRacing. Thankful to have it kind of locked in iRacing here for us to see 3 great races this season. Also the first race for the Truck Series in Chicagoland.
And the closest finish in IndyCar history was here. 24 10,000ths of a second separated those 2 race winners. Let's have a look at the point standings coming into the night. Our playoffs, round 1 of 5. The round of 12, 8 drivers in, 4 drivers out. Of course, this will shift and shuffle, but the only driver that's really safe, thanks to his many wins on the season, James Scioli, if not effectively locked, he could lose his way out of this, Connor, but he is well to the good of that cut line. 44 points to the good. Mason Kane and Garrett Grant and everyone else on down, they have a lot to worry about tonight and next week. But I'd say really no one's safe. We saw that last night. Scioli in particular had a real bad night in the Cup Series race, and he'll be fighting hard next week to stay in despite having the most wins on the season.
Yeah, I was about to say the same thing. He's 44 to the good. That doesn't mean anything. We saw his crash at the turn 4 early on and wasn't able to get any points out of it. Didn't lead any laps. It's probably the worst start to a playoff run he could have. He's hoping to not replicate that tonight as he's trying to maybe lock his way in on points going into next week at Auto Club. But, literally, if he does have a good run, then, yeah, no one else is safe. Slaughterborn, Beckner at the top of the pile but still nowhere near safe. And Michael Curhan at the very bottom, he won't be here next week. It's a winner, go home for him.
Yeah, that's what he said on his weekly sign message. He's on vacation next week, so if he doesn't win, he's out of the playoffs. And maybe push comes to shove and he'll give himself a good shot at getting in. But let's have a look at the practice times. These weren't crazy indicative of what we would see in the race, but I tell you what was the qualifying times. The pole sitter last night, Seth Knoll, went on to win that race, and that surprised basically everybody, Connor. So will we see something similar tonight with the trucks?
I think your pace will matter a lot in qualifying here. I mean, Seth, yeah, he put a good queue time down, but he was the class of the field on the long run, and I think that's just because this track doesn't really, for some reason, the way you drive it as the tires age doesn't really change too much. So if you're fast on the short run, you should be good long run. We saw drivers last night who weren't good on the long run, like Weishart, like Ricky Springer, a few others, Cameron Hurd, who just couldn't keep the tires under them. So it'll still be a factor, but you start at the front, you have a really good shot because clean air is still going to matter a lot here, and that really worked out for the one of Seth Knoll last night. And maybe we could have the same story. He won at Daytona and kind of just sat around, didn't really do much the rest of the regular season. Then he comes out firing here, wins at Chicagoland. Kind of reminds me, well, that doesn't remind me, but it could happen to someone like Justin Sogak. He won in Daytona, in the Truck Series and Xfinity Series, and now maybe he could do something about that. He is 5th on the board, so he's got some speed here tonight.
Yeah, and again, for those that missed last night's broadcast, the way the coloration is done here on the timing and scoring tower is the blue drivers are those that are scored currently above the cut line, and the yellow are those below it. Now, that won't dynamically adjust throughout the race, but it's just a good frame of reference for where the driver is and how dire of a situation they may be in, or how good of a situation it may be in. So we'll keep an eye on those drivers tonight. But so far, only 5 of the top 10 playoff contenders.
Shane Therian, JT Poole, two really fast drivers, especially Poole. He ran one more race, I believe. He'd be in the playoffs. And I don't think Curran would, as practice ends and Beckner shows off some 360 action. Couldn't see where Beckner was on the timing sheet, but he'll be fast as well. But yeah, that was kind of a theme last night. A lot of non-playoff drivers in the running and running at the front, which could really shake things up for those playoff drivers.
Certainly could. Race fans, be sure to subscribe to the Area iRacing Twitch channel. For only $5 a month, you can watch all area broadcasts commercial-free. You can also use new Area iRacing emotes in the chat and earn double channel points as a subscriber that you can use to redeem for free merchandise. Just watch and subscribe at twitch.tv/Area iRacing. Fun little tidbit about the location of Chicagoland Speedway for those that aren't familiar with it or the city of Chicago. It is very close by, about 45 minutes away without traffic, maybe an hour and a half with traffic to the southwest. And right next to it, you can't see it here, but basically just off to the left of the screen, about a mile or so, is an Autobahn Country Club, which is a several-mile road course that was built in 2004 with 3 different configurations. It's a pretty popular track with club racing and track day organizations, and off of the distance, you can just make out Chicagoland Speedway when you're driving to Autobahn Country Club. So interesting tidbit here as we head down for qualifying and get things underway. It was indicative last night. It could be as well. Here's a driver I'm keeping my eye on, though, is Tom Bourne. He has consistently put himself in contention for top 5s and top 10s, Connor, but that will only get you so far in this playoff format.
Yeah, you could finish top 10 every single race of some of these rounds, and you might not advance. That's just how tight the field is going to be from second on the grid on back. So he's someone who's got to step it up a little bit. Consistency is key, but in this day and age with the playoff format the way it is, as Cameron Hearn goes top of the board, Dylan Lee going into turn 3. This day and age, you kind of need wins, and while he's highest in the points without wins, you don't win. You're not winning the title. We've kind of seen that as even Brad Slaughter last year. He didn't win a lot, but he won the last race, and that's all that mattered. So maybe Tom Bourne could do the same thing this year, but he's going to need to get going, I think, as Lee goes to the top of the board. Good lap for him.
Yeah, great lap for Dylan Lee. Just 5 times on the board from Lee down to Braden Goddard, who is about a 10th off provisional pole. Tom Bourne is rolling, and so is JT Poole. Now, JT Poole, frustratingly, is not a playoff contender despite his win coming a couple weeks ago at IRP. He's not eligible, didn't run enough races to be eligible, so he will have to sit this championship fight out, but still very much a contender for race wins.
Yeah, he's going to be the spoiler for these entire playoffs. He can win at every track. He was very fast last night as well. So he gets the right strategy and just has enough pace. He can really shake some things up as board's on track, kind of washing off the bottom. But you don't have to run the very bottom of 3 and 4 to put a good time down. I was surprised by my lap last night that still went forth as Bourne goes 30.810. He goes top of the board.
Yeah, top of the board for now. Shane Therian warming up on the back straightaway. He's getting set up to go for speed here. And Shane Therian this season not putting forth all the entries to be in contention for the playoffs. Just hasn't had the season go his way. He's only had 3 top 10s so far. We'll see what he can do here in qualifying as he starts his lap. Travis Beckner, definitely a consideration for your champion. He has been rock solid so far this season. He's got 1 win to his name, 7 top 10s out of 12 starts, so not a bad season at all, but when push comes to shove, Connor, he certainly knows how to do both of those things.
Yeah, we saw that in last year's playoffs, and really all 3 series, he knows when to get the elbows out, and he does it right. So definitely saw one that with his aggression level and his raw pace, he could also easily be the champion once we get to the finale. So we'll see what he can do here. Getting a good qualifying time goes a long way, as you can see the left front really dug into the track as he comes through 3 and 4 really solid. Didn't really have to wash up at all. This could be fast, and it is.
30.795 puts him to the point by 15 thousandths of a second. JT Poole rolling his way through 3 and 4 as well. Josh Taylor, Greg Mitchell, and Justin Anasogak taking to the racetrack here momentarily, but Poole comes across the stripe and identical lap.
Tied him.
But where will it put him? Second, a 30.795 for both the top 2.
Yeah, iRacing timing and scoring puts Beckner a thousandth of a second ahead, but obviously the same on the sheet. I don't think JT can believe it. You could see his face there. 2 identical times, nearly identical. That is wild. As still more drivers to go. Josh Taylor's on the track. He had some issues last week. Kind of a odd season for him. Hasn't been full time. He's been running the last few races, but really not a great season for him. Trying to turn that around.
Well, only 5 races left, right? So if at this point, not in playoff contention, you're just trying to finish the season on a high note and maybe head into the fall a bit better suited. But Josh Taylor crossed the stripe and a 30.879. That'll put him in 8th of those that have run. Slow takers to qualifying here. We've only got 4 minutes to go, and a lot of drivers may be waiting here, Connor, as the day advances tonight, giving it a couple minutes to give themselves the best shot possible. Justin Sogak now works his way through turns 3 and 4.
Even with it still being daytime, I'm not really hearing these guys lift a lot, so that's only going to improve the lack of lifting as Anna Sogak goes 7th on the timing sheet. As it's only going to get easier to full throttle around this track as the night settles in here, but I'm surprised it's already seeming full throttle as Blaine Harrison comes to start his lap.
Let's ride on board and just listen. Just a slight lift, but that's just to get the nose pointed. And he's back in throttle, kind of washing up, kind of mid-track here, Connor. But sometimes the very bottom of the racetrack, especially in 3 and 4, has some pretty gnarly bumps that you might be better off just avoiding.
Yeah, oddly enough, turn 2 it gets really tight out of 2. And you could feel those bumps. You could see them on your screen, and they could really jerk you sideways as they did Harrison there. But like you said, not much lifting there as Harrison won't take the apron. Goes 31.055, 12th out of 13.
And Eric Wineland working up to speed tonight as well, not a playoff contender. Needed a miracle last week at Talladega, didn't get it. It was on a controller and was just trying to make it through, but it didn't really work out in his favor. Here he is on his qualifying run, and now the track is alight with takers at the moment. Michael Curhan is also on track. Let's see what Michael can do. 30.821 puts him 7th. Danny Ware enters turn number 3. Bronson Stafford. David Weishart also on track. Here comes Ware.
Yep, Ware out of 4. Weiland had a big wiggle, but he'll save it. Ware goes 30.9. That's 13th. And Wineland goes 30.838. That is 9th, as you can see. Don't recall seeing this last night, but this field is very bunched up. About half a tenth separating the top 10.
Yeah, it's going to be really close, and I imagine the racing will go a lot like that as well tonight. David Weishart kicks off the start of a lap. Just the slightest breathe of the throttle, but he got a really nice line through 1 and 2, Connor.
Yeah, we saw Harrison didn't really get the nose pointed. Weishart was able to do that and also just carry as much speed as possible if he wanted to. He's going to have to try to do the same in 3 and 4. You need to hit the bumps a certain way. And also, the line on the bottom of 3 and 4 is he has a big wiggle. It's not symmetrical. You can kind of hit the apron on accident because of how not correct it is. So he was wary of that. He got around it, 30.820. Another tie on the timing sheet, I believe.
Puts him position 6, tied with Mason Kane. There's that wiggle mid-corner. Might have cost him just a split second there, but he will drop 6. Justin Munsell, eliminated from playoff contention at Talladega, only goes 11th quick. Here's Jacob Bell, who narrowly missed out on a race win last week in the Cup Series at Talladega.
Was at the front last night, too, for a little while.
Yeah, led some laps.
It seemed like when the long runs kicked in, that kind of went away. There were a lot of comers and goers last night. We had guys at the front who just didn't really hold on to that by the end. Bell was one of those. He'll try to right that tonight. He goes 30.902. That is 19th. He's 19th place, and he's a 10th off.
That's wild. Here's Alan Elwood. Last of our competitors, other than Gary Waterworth, who I'm not sure is going to get a lap because he already started one and ended up bailing out on it, so he will not get a clean qualifying effort. Here's Elwood, though, the last driver to lay down a time here tonight. And what will it be? A 38.27. That will put him 9th place, ahead of Brad Slaughter Jr. by 4 thousandths of a second. So as we look at the results here from qualifying, Connor, look how close these times are.
It is incredibly tight. We've seen it all the time this season, but I think this might be the closest it's been. It almost rivals the firecracker qualifying. Only about trying to check. That's about 3.5 hundredths of a second separating first from 10th. Brad Slaughter Jr., I don't know what he must be thinking because he's right there, but he's still 10th.
First to 24th, covered by just over 2.5 tenths. And Shane Therian did not get a representative lap. But if you exclude him and Waterworth, who didn't get a time, the entire field is within 0.3 of a second. That's pretty unbelievable.
Yeah, that is absolutely wild. But that could also spell trouble. We're going to be very packed up, I think, at the start of this race, judging off these times. So that could spell trouble for the type of aggressive racing we might see. We might see early contact. We might see early crashing like we saw last night.
One of the other things to note based on those qualifying results is the vast majority of the top 10 are playoff contenders, whether above the cut line or below it. And that is not the same as what we saw last night. We saw quite a few drivers that were not even remotely in contention and were not a participant in the playoffs qualify top 10. So that kind of mixed up things at the front for the first part of the race. Interesting to note, all things looking very intriguing heading into our first of 5 rounds of the playoffs. Next week, we differ from the Cup Series and the Florida State Builders Pro Series because we head to Phoenix before heading to Las Vegas and Gateway and then off into Homestead to finish out the season. Race fans, start your engines with a fresh cup of Roasted Gems coffee. Choose from some of the finest coffee beans from Colombia and Peru, or try the blended flavors of French vanilla and hazelnut. Use discount code AREAIRACING for 10% off your order at checkout at roastedgems.com. So, scenes from the city of Chicago just under an hour away as we'll head back to Chicagoland Speedway here momentarily for 120 laps. Now, last night we saw a handful of yellows, Connor, but we ended with a long green flag run, pit stops, strategy. I predict a lot of the same happening tonight.
I think we'll still see a long green flag run, but I just don't think we're going to end like that again. Truck Series has been very aggressive all season long, and I think as packed up as the Cup cars seemed to be last night, I think these are a little bit closer. I think everyone's closer. I think anyone from first down to 26th place can win this race. Everyone has a shot, so I think everyone's going to be real aggressive. I don't really see it ending very clean, but I'm definitely hoping to be wrong.
Let's see how it goes. Let's get through a Roasted Gems coffee starting lineup. Kicking things off on row number 1. It's going to be Travis Beckner, the number 28. He grabs pole from JT Poole, tied with a 30.795. That's your front row, Connor. Who's in row number 2?
Well, row number 2 is a playoff driver in Tom Bourne. The most consistent driver all season starts 3rd. And then a little bit of surprise in 4th place. Dylan Lee, who's had some runs at the front, but not many finishes that he deserved. But he'll start 4th tonight.
In row number 3, it's 2 playoff contenders, Mason Kane in the number 31 Toyota Tundra TRD Pro, and David Weishart rolls off 6th in the number 29 Chevy Silverado.
Weishart is a playoff driver tonight, wasn't last night. Cameron Hearn, our recent winner from Talladega last Tuesday night, he'll start in 7th, tied on time, or at least close with Michael Kerhan. And we know he isn't showing up next week, it's going to go home for him.
And row number 5, it's Alan Elwood in the number 10. And alongside him, Brad Slaughter Jr. in the number 8. He rolls off 10th. Both Chevy Silverados in that 5th row.
11th position will be Bronson Stafford in the 61 Toyota TRD Tundra. And then Justin Munsell, who had heartbreak last week at Talladega, will try to right the ship starting from 12th.
In 13th place, it's the Ford F-150 of Eric Wineland, truck number 21. Justin Anasogak looking to turn that yellow to blue and advance into round 2 of the playoffs. He starts 14th.
15th position, a Silverado and Bryce Senesac, and then a 42 of Garrett Grant in that Ford F-150 at 16th.
17th place, it's Josh Taylor in the number 57, and the Chevy Silverado. Greg Mitchell, his Ford F-150 rolls off 18th in the number 2.
Danny Ware in the 49 had a solid lap going, had a big wiggle, ruined that. Instead, he'll start 19th place, and Jacob Bell led laps last night, almost won last week, but he'll start 20th tonight.
3 rows to go. Bobby Tinch in row number 11 in the number 54. Ryan Swan in the Chevy Silverado, that's car number 1, rolls off 22nd.
Braden Goddard in the 38, he'll start 23rd place alongside the 66 of Blaine Harrison.
And Shane Therian in the 83 rolls off 25th. Gary Waterworth, 26th. Rounding out the rest of our 26 truck field. Pick me a winner, Connor. I like any of the front row. I also don't hate choosing David Weishart rolling off in 6th, but I'm going to go with JT Poole. I think he gets his 2nd win tonight.
Yeah, I think JT Poole's a good shot, but I'll go Beckner. He's starting on the pole, so I'm pretty excited to see what he can do. By the way, we haven't known this yet. No James Scioli tonight.
Oh, interesting note.
Almost, I don't know why I just noticed that, but yeah, no Scioli. So we're talking about the big buffer. Yeah, that's going to be nothing. But thankfully, with all those wins, he has the ability to not have to win next week to get in.
He has some buffer, not enough to lock him in automatically, though, so that's a consideration at least. 120 laps, about an hour worth of racing. We go green to flag to the checkers. Here we go. Green flag, and we're racing in the Windy City, Chicagoland Speedway. Oh. Three wide into turn one, Connor. That was a little wild, but Bronson Stafford still middle three wide, and a Sogek on the outside.
You don't want to be a playoff driver in that right now. I think Beckner missed a shift, or at least late on a shift. Really stacked the bottom, and now everyone's scrambling to get away from that stack up.
Still three wide into turn three. Stafford is in the middle of it. He does not want to be there. And you're right, if you're a playoff contender, that is the worst place to be right now. The good news is the track's going to transition from day to night, but not nearly as extreme as last night. We're starting a little later in the evening. It's already pretty cool. It's not going to change all that much, and we'll be able to stay in throttle a lot more, but it is frantic here in the opening moments.
Yeah, this last night's race 20 laps longer, so we probably won't have that much more running in tonight, as we'll see how these drivers kind of deal with that transition as JT Poole's gone to lead, but look at Dylan Lee on the top line trying to take the lead away.
Dylan Lee qualified fourth place. Here he comes battling for the top spot. Side by side, Travis Beckner is going to take him three across. He will. Three wide for the lead into turn one at Chicago.
Aggressive for lap three. Beckner can't hold it, so he'll have to back out. Lee's still strong on the top line. Very aggressive, especially from a playoff driver who needs points, but he backs out of that. It might cost him a position to Tom Bourne.
JT Poole leads, but just into turn three. Travis Beckner looks for the middle groove. We're still wildly aggressive here for the top, but Dylan Lee powers on the outside. He's found something up there, and he takes the lead away and leads lap three.
We go three wide again. Now Tom Bourne goes to the bottom. Beckner is now on the top. It seems like if you're in a three wide scenario, you do not want to be on that bottom. Bourne has to back out now, as we saw the top line kind of fade away. We tried it late going last night. The speed was not there as Lee gets a big shove from Beckner. So if you're going to use that top line, you got to use it now.
Beckner following Dylan Lee around the outside. Tom Bourne on the bottom, stuck behind the 26 of JT Poole, and here goes Beckner going outside of the driver that was outside, and they almost touched down the front straightaway. That was I don't know if that was a block or a move left by Beckner, but that got very tight and dicey.
I don't think Dylan Lee thought he was there, and that's why there was almost contact, but you can see Beckner pushing hard, gonna get that lead back away from Dylan Lee after losing it. They're three wide behind JT Poole. He's trying to figure out which lane to block as the 25 starts to fade early on.
Michael Curhan has a good view of this out the windshield, turns down to the bottom. Look at the run that the 4 Cameron Hearn has. He's going to give the 25 a shot, give Lee a push down the front straightaway. This does not look all that different from what we saw last week at Talladega.
Yeah, I was about to say, it's pretty much the same as Lee rides Hearn all the way to the very outside as they almost made more contact, as almost three wide again as the 25, as quickly as he got the lead. Looks like he might have worn the tires out a little bit already, as you can see the lack of grip he has.
Yeah, Justin Munsel's going to go to the outside as well. He's on a mission. Eliminated from the playoffs in a catastrophic crash under yellow from a lap-down car that spun into his path as they were slowing to catch the pace car. But Munsell would love to get some wins to finish off the season despite not having a chance to run for a title.
5 top 5, 6 top 10s, not in the playoffs. A little bit unfair, but you know, Munsell, we know he has the pace to win in all 3 series if he wanted to. A big wiggle there as he's going to lose some ground to Cameron Hearn, who Hearn's on the charge.
The one of Ryan Swan is in the wall, and Eric Wineland is in it as well.
No caution yet either. That was a huge hit on the tri-oval. Might have been a case of blocking. We've seen that a lot at tracks with a tri-oval like this, as Wineland's day looks done.
Yeah, that truck is absolutely destroyed. Yeah, he's got no steering. So
this might be dangerous if the field comes back around and he's not off the track.
And they're still racing hard for the lead, Beckner and Poole. We'll go back and look at it here in a moment. But the leaders are still battling. Wineland trying to limp it back. He's on the apron now as the field 2x2 back into turn 1.
Wyland in the grass. I think he'll just pull off and stop. That shouldn't bring out a yellow. Beckner, meanwhile, does keep the lead. Him and Poole have been going side by side, but it's what we saw from Cameron Hurd last night. Very quick on the short run, but once we got the long runs going, faded. Hopefully not the same as we get the Simrap Market replay going as, big, I would say neck code and huge hit for both those drivers, but Wyland kind of took the brunt of it, and Swan was kind of the buffer.
Yeah, definitely some net code there, but they were coming together, I think, regardless, but the net code certainly made it happen sooner and more aggressively. But a side draft attempt ends in disaster for at least the 21, and it looks like Ryan Swan is still rolling back in 25th place. For the lead, see ya, JT Poole. It's Cameron Hurd now that has it over Beckner. Beckner turns hard down. That was a big scrub on the right front tire to get that truck to rotate.
Oh, these two don't really come away from each other, do they?
No, and yeah, you're right. Last night they were sparring. I wonder how much of that carries over, Connor. Different series, but I still think your opinion probably doesn't go away from night to night.
No, they're the same driver all 3 nights, just a different car or truck. As Poole back to the bottom, it seems like it's these 4. Oh, Hearn, big wiggle. He'll lose some ground. So back to Beckner and Poole, that like we saw the first 10 laps or so. As you've raced the same drivers all 3 races. Your opinion doesn't change them. You race them the same exact way. So no love lost between those 2, as I'm sure they'll battle at another point. And seeing these trucks get a little bit more squirrely than I thought they would.
Yeah, they're driving in there really hard right now, and maybe when the track cools off completely and we're into nighttime, you might be able to stick it, but as the tires wear, you're going to have to lift, and they're just continuing to drive it deeper and deeper in the corner. This is the kind of truck, Connor, that you can just kind of send off into the corner, and you're slowing down with basically drag, with scrub. You're not lifting, you're not braking. You're just kind of letting the truck slow itself down, and with that, you can get really sendy before you start hurting lap times.
Yeah, and the sendy part of it is when you see crashes happen as big slide up the track. Poole shut the door on Beckner as a big stack up will be caused on the top because of that, as now Poole pretty much take the clean air away from Beckner, and that puts the 28 in a position to maybe get split, but 6 of Munsell couldn't do anything. You could see how sendy everyone is already.
Not about to stop either. 13 laps in, and we're still in the heat of battle here up front. 1 incident so far, but no caution flags. Eric Wineland's night is over already. Alan Elwood way up against that outside wall.
Hearn had a big slide in the middle of turn 1 and 2, and he'll go back to about 5th. Already seeing him fade a little bit on this kind of middle portion of this run, and start to see the guys who have better tires starting to pull away, and it's really spread out past 10th place Jacob Bell.
Keep my eye on David Weishart. Been pretty quiet so far in this run in the 29. I wonder if he's saving something. He did drop back, but how much of that is potentially tire savings? We're only about a half second off of what our fastest laps were, Connor, but as we saw last night, the lap time isn't necessarily indicative of how well the truck's driving.
No, definitely not. They stopped driving well after lap 20 last night, but it looks like these things stopped driving well after lap 8 or so. I mean, these guys are all over the place, but they're still battling like their trucks are handling just fine. As Beckner looking to the top, as Dylan Lee looking at him, he was battling for the lead on lap 3 or 4. That's how much tires might matter here tonight. He's all the way back in the 9th.
Side by side for the lead once again. This time Beckner rolling the outside. Great launch using that momentum. Multiple grooves here, absolutely. The track is abrasive across the surface, and many more bumps on the bottom, so that outside lane absolutely can work. It's probably the preferred line late in this race, and Beckner will lead the lap number 16.
Now Dylan Lee had a big slide. I think there's a truck in the grass, or at least there might have been. Yeah, there was. That was Gary Waterworth, who was in the grass, but didn't hit anything, as still volatile at the front between these two, as we'll see. Wow, what a slide. That was way worse than I thought.
Yeah, big moment there for Waterworth, and did a good job getting it back under control, but you noted how slippery and slidey things are feeling. Well, how about this? Munsell sideways out of turn 4.
Perfect cutback, but my goodness, these guys are all over the place. The right rear is seeming to be the issue tonight. Last night it was the right front. These trucks handling very differently. I think everyone who ran the Cup race last night is called out by that.
Yeah, you definitely learn some habits when you've got the Cup car, that it's completely different in style, suspension design, aerodynamics, and then you jump back in these trucks, and despite them being slower, they can often be a bigger handful And tonight we're seeing that be the case. JT Poole had a big wiggle there out of turn 4.
It's getting harder and harder for these guys to battle and not completely lose their handle on the truck. So might see some more single file action soon because these guys are really struggling to get the pedal down. It's really all on exit where that right rear is taking the most abuse, as you see everyone on the top lane now is
Elwood tried to jam it in there in front of Munsell, but Munsell wasn't having it. They come together and crash. And that 10 car is got big time damage, Connor. That's big news for a playoff contender.
Yeah, that was a big hit. Munsell kind of got away with it. They're bickering on the radio, but lap 19, a little early to be going for those types of squeezes, but we kind of saw the entire top line on the outside of Elwood. He's going to lose a lot of time. He didn't want to lose it. Now Beckner's in the wall almost, keeping the lead from JT Poole.
Here comes Curran. I almost don't dare to go back and look at a replay. Let's give these guys another minute to settle this out. The 26 tried to throttle up. Curran tries to slide ahead of him. That was tight out of turn 4.
Might see some more hurt feelings than we saw last night, as these guys are bouncing off one another, and we still got 100 laps to go.
Well, there was the one-finger salute from JT Poole last night, so maybe we're in store for something similar. Here's a look again at that incident on the back straightaway. Watch the 10 here. Sees the gaps behind the 6 and just tries to jam it in ahead of Justin Munsell, who does not give him the opportunity to slot in there. That's a pretty heavy hit to that right front. That will affect the 10.
Yeah, and I understand Elwood's upset. He probably thought Munsell should have lifted because he was being too aggressive, but also he's being too aggressive by trying to get in a hole that small. And it's not like he really fully committed, you know. He kind of only half came up, and he gave Munsell just enough room to the point where the 6 probably thought he could have still stuck it in there. That just wasn't going to happen.
Ooh, big slide for Dylan Lee out of turn 2. And just, I guess, drinking game tonight. Every time we say big slide, because I'll bet you that we're all a little tipsy after about 30, 40 more laps of this. The fuel run is going to be stressful to get to the end of, I think.
I don't believe this will be a one-stop, so it could be a 2-stop race if it went green, which means probably halfway through this run on your tires, which I'm sure people will be thankful for, as you'd see everyone to the top line. Not something we saw last night. The entire top 5 rim riding like Kyle Larson tonight.
Well, you got to put less wheel in it when you're running up there, so the less that you're turning that wheel, the less you're going to feel that oversteer condition. But the danger is if you let it walk on you at all, it'll tank slap into the outside wall, and you'll be left with a damaged right side. So that's obviously a consideration with the line you pick, is how much space you have to save it. But if you keep running the bottom, you're just going to burn up that right rear tire because you're sliding it, especially trying to put power down off turn 4.
Yeah, and really the first driver in the top 10 running that bottom is Elwood, who's damaged. Surprised he hasn't dropped harder with the amount of right front damage there is, but everyone else kind of running the top in 1 and 2. And some drivers like JT Poole running the bottom in 3 and 4, but everyone else, surprising to me, still running the top in turn 3 and 4. A lot of bumps on that top line entering 3 and getting through the middle of the corner. So shocked to see people running up there as got a truck stopped. That was Blaine Harrison calling it a night.
Yeah, not exactly sure. Just slowed down and rolled to a stop. I don't see any obvious damage. Maybe attending to something, but he will step out of the race as we jump back to the battle for the lead. Here comes JT Poole. These two, Beckner and Poole, they were tied in qualifying, and we've been sparring over which driver should lead this race, but Beckner so far has led double the laps. JT.
Yeah, went back and looked. Harrison had a slide at it too and decided to call it a night, so I think that's all there was to that. But these two, Beckner and Poole, were working together last week and were working really well together, and then they kind of got separated, but now they're as close as they could be right now, as these two are not letting each other get away. Beckner's had the lead for a while, and Poole struggling to have another run for the lead as he keeps trying to get clean air on the nose in turn 3, but these two are all on top of each other. Curran just kind of letting them race, I think.
Tom Bourne following and waiting in the wings as well. They are very close together entering turn 1 here. JT rolling the bottom lane again. The hard line to stick. Not going to make it. And then here comes Curran with a big head of steam. And he'll take a run. No, he will not. He's going to give the 26 a shove.
It was like he wanted to do something but couldn't there. As they'll get back in line, pull back to the bottom. Bourne looking for clean air high, but not quite there. Now he'll swoop down. Can't really do anything there. While we have a call moment, I didn't get the one finger salute from Poole last night, did I?
Not you.
I was about to say, I think I got it from someone else.
I think it was Jake Nichols that he was giving it to.
Oh, that's even more surprising. So interesting.
Battle for first and battle for third, and down the back straightaway. Everyone's kind of single filed out now. Calm before the storm, perhaps here. I think there's going to be a certain point when everyone's just fighting for control, let alone for positions on the racetrack.
Yes, some side by side, but not fully, as Elwood is starting to drop a little bit. He's by Weishart as the top 4 or 5 still nose to tail, but Elwood and Weishart are side by side for 7th. Also Munsel's there, but you see JT, he's been running the top in 1 and 2, mirroring Beckner. Now he's trying the bottom, just trying to look for clean air on the nose.
See him shake his head. He knows the bottom isn't going to work, but what else do? You can't run the same line as the guy ahead of you as you go back to Weishart. The driver I said to keep my eye on. He's moving back forward now. But was he conserving too much, maybe? Ooh, slot right ahead of Alan Elwood there. That was close.
Munsel's going to take the run to the bottom, probably get under Weishart too, but I think Weishart will get both of these drivers when it's all said and done. He's got another second plus up to Cameron Hearn, as Elwood really close to the wall as these two find each other again to go side by side, as Poole still running that bottom, but he's giving Curhan a shot for second.
Yeah, Curhan's running a nice line right now, kind of middle of the road, not committing to super high or super low. Tom Bourne riding in 4th, Mason Kane in 5th.
Stafford pits from 11th. That is early, lap 30.
Well, might be splitting this into quarters?
Quarters.
That's a really bold strategy, but nothing for him to lose, so why not?
Yeah, why not? Definitely the...
Oh, big slide, Dylan Lee. Holy cow. That thing was all sorts of sideways.
Yeah, he's been falling, and you can see why. All the way back to 11th. Now he'll go back to battling for 12th after that slide. Almost like he got the left sides on that seam there, and it just jerked it sideways.
That was very close to being a crash. We're past the 1/4 mark of this race, and it's going quickly. No yellows so far. There are 4 drivers, make that 3 that are listed as out and done for the race. Eric Wineland, Blaine Harrison, and Braden Goddard. Ryan Swan is a lap down, but still running, and Bronson Stafford a lap down after that pit stop he made a couple of laps ago.
And for Dylan Lee's slide, I was going to talk about the fall off. It's about, trying to see what it is right now.
About a second 1.2 seconds, yep.
So not much, probably not enough to constitute a 1 extra stop, but like you said, Stafford not in the playoffs, might as well try to get fresh rubber. And if catch a caution if you can get your lap back, catch a caution, maybe get some track position out of it.
Just noticed that JT Poole's got another friend back behind him. Got the Cougar in the back seat as well.
Is that what that is? I couldn't tell.
Along with the Ricky Bobby in the background.
Putting it to good use after being top 3 last night and running solidly top 2 tonight. As you can see, he's definitely shifted away from being in dirty air, running that bottom exclusively, and Curhan's not getting enough of a run to do anything, so you might as well keep doing it if you're not in danger of losing a spot out of it.
I'm actually surprised that JT's been able to maintain pace with Travis despite using more tire on that bottom lane, so that's a good sign of things to come. If JT had the preferred line, he might actually be a bit quicker than Travis Beckner. But you can't really tell until roles are reversed, and to do that, you've got to pass him.
Yeah, and until he gets a run on Beckner, he's not going to be able to pass him. You can get through his left rear, but plus Beckner has a slide, which he hasn't done. Not going to get biased. Now you can see almost everyone's got inside single file throughout the top 10. Is really the first somewhat of a pack is Bryce Senesac, in behind him is Danny Ware, Anna Sogak, Greg Mitchell. These guys are side by side for 14th.
Anna Sogak in the 88, and if you're looking at where you're running in relation to everyone else that you're battling in the playoffs, this is a moment where Justin's got to start maybe worrying a bit. Back in 14th place, and all of the drivers that are above the cut line are ahead of him, and there's only 1 driver in the playoffs behind him, and that's a big red flag for me, Connor. Even this early in this race, for Grant and for Anna Sogak, they really need to pick it up. The rest of the field in the playoffs has risen to the occasion as Justin Munsell comes down pit lane. Another early-ish stop here.
Not too early from around the lap 40 point where you would split it evenly. So a little bit of an undercut for track position. I don't hate the move whatsoever. As talk about Anna Sogak, it is you got to be in danger if you're second to last playoff driver, but kind of been seeing this coming. He has no other top 10s besides his win at Daytona, so it's really been a struggle for the most part this season. He needs to find something soon, as JT Poole, he has a good run for the lead this time.
Decent run, had not as much overlap as he's had since he has been fighting this bottom lane, but he's going to lose at turn 2 here in particular. That outside lane has so much advantage. If he can just stay alongside, nah, not quite. It's frustrating.
Sure is. I'd be frustrated right now as they're 3 wide for 12th. Anna Sogak, Ware, and Stafford. That's Stafford with new tires getting by them, so not all that's for position as Poole stays behind Beckner, and a few more drivers pitting. Weishart comes down, Brad Slaughter as well.
Making their way down and going to split this race into thirds, pitting on lap 40 and then presumably lap 80 as well. There's Danny Ware and Sogak fighting for 10th place now. Greg Mitchell missed out on the playoffs in this championship, running 12th right now.
I thought you were going to start singing when you called them down. Making their way downtown. That's what I was getting at. That's what I heard, at least. It's Earn pits from 6th.
And here comes Senesac. Greg Mitchell also come on down.
And Garrett Grant.
So now what do you do if you're the leaders, right? Do you come together?
If I'm Poole, I want to get in only a lap before Beckner. I don't want to get overcut. That probably won't work well, but kind of pushing the limits. Track position, I think, mattered a lot more last night. I think you want fresher tires tonight from the slides we've seen, but top 3 stay out. 4th and 5th, Bourne and Kane come down.
Ooh, man, it's such a tough pit road. An underrated challenge, this pit road in particular. Josh Taylor really late did get it woed on down. That left turn out of 4 is pretty significant. And it's just like Dover or Darlington. It always kind of catches you off guard unless you're pretty conservative.
Yeah, it definitely catches you off guard. Beckner to the bottom. This should be a telltale sign that he's pitting.
Yep. And JT is going to have the advantage of following him in, which means he can kind of charge the entrance here. You see him get up on that wheel, get right behind Beckner, give him a shove into pit lane.
Ooh, look at the left rear damage it put on the 28. He's laughing about it because he pushed it a little early. I don't know Beckner's laughing about it because that was a pretty big bump as these two will come in together, and now it's all about what pit stalls we got. They're both 1-2, so not much advantage there.
Yeah, that was a pretty big shot. See the damage on the left rear corner of Beckner. Both of them nail the pit lane entry. It's critical. This is going to be the battle for what will cycle to be the race lead after everyone else comes around. They are dead even here, which should give the advantage to the 28 because he's got a position advantage, but JT gets a good launch out of pit lane. And back underway here onto the racetrack. They have to single out, but he crosses him over. He's going to pass him on the apron.
Not a lot of grip down there. I think Beckner will get the run. Curhan pit. I don't think Poole's going to have the grip. Look at him sliding the rears. I love racing off a pit road, though. I love it.
See him laughing about it. They were having a good old time, but they did lose a couple positions because of some undercuts. We'll update you on those as Alan Elwood is your race leader, and he's got a lot of right front damage, Connor. I wouldn't be surprised if some of that was required damage that he'll have to fix when he hits pit lane.
Well, theoretically required because he'll go faster, but if it was required, he would have already pit. But Beckner was not happy on the radio. He said that was 30 seconds of optional himself for that hit, as him and Poole were going back and forth. So not happy with each other as Poole's going to go to the bottom, seemingly with a lot more speed, as that should be the battle for the effective lead as Elwood stays out again.
Yeah, I think Beckner's damage is probably just cosmetic, but they're right back at it, these two.
Anna Sogak tried to pit and he missed his entrance, so a potentially bad day might be going worse. These two stay side by side.
These two are just magnetized to each other tonight. I don't think I've ever seen a race where two drivers have been on such equal footing. Oh, big slide there for Poole as Alan Elwood hits pit lane.
Elwood's in. I assume the 88 will come in afterwards. As wow, big swipe there as both of them clear one another, as almost fully done with pit stops as Shane Therian stays out once again.
So the driver that will cycle to the lead for the short term is going to be Bronson Stafford in the 61. 1.2 seconds behind that is Justin Munsell. Then it's Cameron Hearn and David Weishart. These two are side by side. And then just behind is where you'll find Beckner and JT Poole with 3 lap fresher tires than those ahead of them.
We'll see if it evens out sooner rather than later tonight as both drivers go to the bottom. As they should get a lot more grip in the track as the night kind of settles in Chicagoland. As it seems like these two are maybe working together a little bit. Poole's just shoving Beckner up there, not willing to pass him and lose more time. As Curhan and Slaughter side by side. Curhan has fresher tires.
Slaughter tries to cross him over here at the exit of 4. Jane Therian finally pits, and that will turn the lead over officially to Bronson Stafford in that number 61. But for how long? Here comes Munsell.
Might only be for another turn as Munsell last time by 0.6 of a second faster, hit 6 laps after, as that will be relatively easy for him.
And then here is the battle for third place. Cameron Hearn, and is now 3 more drivers behind him. Weishart through Poole.
I think Hearn tapped the wall there.
Pushing hard here.
Poole's pushing literally.
Yeah, that's interesting. I mean, maybe it's a little bit of competition here, Connor, but if Beckner's upset, I mean, maybe it was something that he just got over pretty quickly and moving on with it, but JT is playing the game with Travis right now and helping them catch Weishart and Hearn.
We'll see how long that lasts. As Beckner up the track, I think it lasts only about a second longer as now Poole goes to the bottom. Kind of Beckner wiggled up the track, but it was really because Poole was all over his rear bumper and Beckner not giving any room to the 26.
And remember that this is not for a title. JT Poole is not in the playoffs. Despite winning at IRP, did not have enough races in the season to be eligible. But Travis Beckner is very much in the championship. And while he's running fine, and this would be a good points night even if things finished as they were, he can't afford to get wrapped up in anything. You see him fighting the truck there out of turn number 2. Oh, he gets in the Poole!
And Poole's going to spin. That was
caution.
Rather predictable. Maybe a little bit of net code, but kind of saw that coming. I think that smile is going to be off of JT Poole's face.
First yellow of the night, lap 50. Just 10 laps shy of halfway, and here's what happened.
That's really going to work for Munsell and Stafford. As we saw Beckner pinching.
Yeah, he just got loose and came off the corner and kind of came down the racetrack there, and they just touched. And if I were to hyper-analyze this a little bit, I would say that you see, well, Beckner here, but watch as they go on by. See, Beckner's about 1.5 lanes off the wall. So he's got plenty of space, but just gets into the 26, and he can't fight it from there.
Yeah, in my opinion, while it was net code, it seemed obvious that Beckner was still upset and trying to just side draft the heck out of Poole. While no contact was made, it was relative net code. It seemed like Beckner was definitely trying to send a message there and sent a little bit too much of a message as most of the field's going to pit. Bronson Stafford is... Oh, no, not Bronson Stafford's going to stay out.
Yeah, I think all the lead lap drivers are going to come to pit lane here. So it's going to kind of reset our strategy a bit.
You know who gets the lucky dog out of this is Alan Elwood. I was about to note that he sped under green. So big break for him to not only get the lucky dog, but also has a chance to repair a lot of damage.
Yeah, that is well timed for Elwood. I'm sure he was saying a silent cheer when all that happened on the back straightaway, but bit of a reset for the race as well. We were kind of getting strung out here, Connor, but now we reset and we get back into that pack racing mentality. The 6th, a good launch off pit lane. He will win the race off pit lane. Cameron Hearn second, then Bronson Stafford, then Weishart, I think, is the 3rd driver off pit lane. Make that 5th. 4th? We'll see
Stafford 3rd.
See how it pans out. Therian and Lee did not pit. 6 laps and 5 laps on their tires, respectively.
Yeah, and I agree with that. Therian was one of the last pitters. Kind of surprised Dylan Lee stayed out that long. He was struggling, but he'll get fresher rubber and more track position. So I understand the call for those guys. There's no action on that yellow. netcode caused it, so no EOLs there, unsurprisingly.
Race fans, be sure to visit simwrapmarket.com for custom iRacing paint scheme templates that are simple to use and help you stay more focused on the racetrack. That's simwrapmarket.com. Welcome to Chicagoland Speedway and the Area Truck Series season. Playoff race 1 of 5, well underway, 52 laps complete of 120. First yellow of the night for contact between Travis Beckner and JT Poole. No damage, they'll both continue after a little bit of a tussle on the backstretch. But Kyle Heyer alongside Connor Horn up here in the booth. And Connor, tonight we've seen a lot of really good racing, and there's still lots of racing left to go. But that being said, the pace of this race has been pretty fast. We only have about 35 minutes of racing to go if we go green to the end from here.
Yeah, most definitely. We're really barely only going to have one stop to go, as we'll go green with about 66 laps to go, as Therian came down to pit, so Dylan Lee will assume the lead. But this pace was really picked up fast, and the aggression picked up fast, and we kind of got strung out. Now we're in a position where that aggressiveness, with how much darker it is and how much more grip's going to be in the track, the aggression's going to pick up even more. That might spell trouble for the rest of the field, and all those playoff drivers better be careful. They're not involved in the chaos. We've already seen a few of them get involved in some drama.
Yeah, but an interesting night, as last night was. Good racing here at Chicagoland. Good race to have on the calendar. Next week, we head to Phoenix, Arizona, and the 1 mile oval in the desert. That will host our second and final race of this first round of the playoffs. Round 2 of the playoffs will be at Las Vegas and Gateway, followed by the season finale at Homestead on August 22nd. Well, we'll get the 1 to green this time. The lights are off on the pace car. That means next time by, we are going green. Alan Elwood is the free pass. Looks like Ryan Swan is going to get a wave around here. And we'll come back to racing next time by.
It's a nope. Dylan Lee will stay out. He pit lap 45, so tires not too old, but they are older than everyone around him. Therian will line up at the very back after coming in to pit after everyone. And like we said, Elwood on the lead lap now, but how competitive is that truck? We'll just have to wait and see.
And as far as EOLs are concerned, that code ruled again at fault. As far as that one goes, race control makes the decision, but the 28 will keep his spot.
I think I said it. It was net code, yes, but would there have been contact?
Yes.
Yeah, I would think so, yes.
Here we go. Pace car going to make the left onto pit lane. 54 laps will be complete at the stripe, and 66 laps to go. Dylan Lee is your leader, the pink and white Silverado on the inside. Munsell, second place on the outside. Hearn, Stafford, Weishart, Curhan. The rest of your front 3 rows. Green flag back in the air and back underway in the Windy City. Brad Slaughter chucking it up the inside of the 28 of Beckner. They're 3 wide for 5th place.
Beckner got out of it. Brad just had to back out. Senesac blocks the 26 in the background as Stafford blocks the 28 on the inside for second as the Lee's up the track. Already lost the lead, and now it's Hearn and Munsell side by side.
Dylan Lee, big time issue out of turn 4. Munsell side by side with Hearn. He was eliminated from the playoff contention last week after making contact with a car under yellow that spun up the racetrack in front of him. So all he has left to do this year is win races and show that he belonged in the playoffs. We all knew it, but now he wants to show it. Down the backstretch, and here comes Weishart into the mix, the 29 truck.
Hearn had a big wiggle. He still doesn't have grip under that 4 truck as he'll go back to a battle for 3rd as Weishart is now up to 2nd as
4
Slaughter.
wide.
Wow. That's got to get sorted out, but Slaughter's going to get maybe 3.
Oh, boy. That was almost disaster, Connor.
Oh, they definitely touched there as now Beckner's going to try to cross over as everyone's just trying to scramble to get by the 25 of Dylan Lee. Now Tom Board's in the middle. It is a hornet's nest that you got to get by if you're a playoff driver. That is spelling trouble.
Yeah, this hornet's nest can't be killed with gasoline. You fuel it with gasoline. Out of turn 4, the 8 is Slaughter. The 25's in the wall. He scatters.
They're going to be 4 wide again. Kane on the bottom, pulls in the bottom middle of all that. They'll sort it back out to go 2 wide there. 25 almost clipped Jacob Bell, but still not done yet. Grant's up the track now.
Ooh, Beckner, big slide. Crossover from Tom Bourne down the backstretch. JT Poole swings to the inside.
Grant and Bell door slam down the back straightaway. I thought that was going to take out Poole. As you could tell, the aggression rates picked up. Everyone's trying to get everything right now.
Well, you know how long we went on that first green flag run, 52 laps. If we go 52 laps from here, this race is almost over. Everyone feels the urgency now. It's playoff time. There's no reason that anybody should be sitting around. It's go time, and if you can't do it, it could be the end of your run if you can't get a good finish next week as well, especially for those below that cut line. And Sogak's situation is absolutely dire right now.
Yeah, he really was one who needed the yellow, but still not gaining pace. Now he's down to 20th position and just fading right now. He needs a stroke of luck to help him out. As see how long, it didn't really take that long for the leaders to migrate to the top on the long run we got, but nothing doing there yet. The top 4 are away, still running the bottom. Whoa, Beckner's wiggling up the track. Look out.
Kurhan almost in the wall as well. It's just tense. It's just tense. Everybody just trying to keep their foot in it and keep momentum going. If you lift, you get past halfway this time through. 60 laps complete, 60 laps to go from Chicagoland.
Swan and, excuse me, I was looking at Swan and Weiland. They found each other again, and Weiland nearly put him in the wall. I don't think they're happy with how that happened, but that is not a battle for position, as I was going to note how Poole and Beckner found each other, but Poole's kind of driven away from Beckner already.
Yeah, back up to 8th place after getting turned around and being that yellow flag, so taking a fresh set of tires with them and making good moves up to the front. Munsell still leads, by the way. It's nice and orderly in the top 5. Behind that, not a good word to describe it.
I'm still watching Swan and Wineland, but Beckner's kind of did not have a good restart there. He's going to have to gain all that time back in 9th. Yeah, those two are kind of swatting at each other, but we'll see what comes of that. Still surprised that Beckner's kind of fallen back. He wasn't the fastest driver. Maybe that damage is more than we thought.
Jacob Bell, Mason Kane. This is for 12th. Kurhan right behind JT Poole, who's still moving forward right now.
Munsell's finally went to the top. It's going to give Weishart the bottom for the race lead up ahead, as you see Kurhan just getting all over the back of JT Poole. Now he'll go to the top, the fast lane that it's going to be as this run progresses.
You mentioned the battle for the lead. Weishart has the advantage now. He's going to slide up and take the spot away. But Munsell's got a really strong run here coming.
Ooh, he tried to get to the top. Weishart's not going to block it in the corner, but he definitely blocked the entry off of Munsell, as now they're side by side for 3rd. Kind of surprised Bronson Stafford's able to stay up here, but he's doing a great job defending her, and 3 wide in behind with Bourne, Poole, and Kurhan.
Middle 3 wide is that 26. Everyone's got to maintain their lane. This is not a super wide racetrack. It's wide enough to do it, but everyone's got to stay put.
The apron gives you a false sense of security that it's about a 5-lane track. It is not. It is tough to go 3 wide here with how quick the exits of these corners come up on you. So definitely deceiving, I would say.
Munsell has a good run. He's going to take it too.
Stafford hit the wall. Slaughter's going to go under him, but like you said, Munsell's got the run now, but Weishart's going to be pinching the 6 off and going to try to stay on the right rear, which he's able to do.
Has the advantage, but he's not clear. I bet he drives way off into turn 1 to try to get that pass complete. And he will. And slide across the nose. See that wheel working here.
Here comes a crossover. No, Weishart's going to stay in line. He doesn't go to the bottom, gives a shot to Munsell as these two sorted out, as I think they saw Cameron Hearn coming and didn't want to get involved in a 3-truck battle.
Well, too late. Cameron Hearn is there. Hearn has led only 1 lap so far tonight.
Gotta say, JT Poole, just what can you say about his speed? He's already up to 6th after that spin. He didn't fall back too much, but still, he's had the work to get back up here. Now he's fighting for that 6th position with Tom Bourne on the bottom. So we're getting to that point where you're going to start migrating to that top.
Yeah, he's stalling out a little bit right now, and he and Travis were, I think, the fastest cars on the racetrack now, and they're mired back in 6th and 8th. So we'll see if they can get back there. Was it just the clean air making them look like Superman? I think Weishart just got in the wall on the entrance to turn 1, and Hearn's on the bottom now, and Brad Slaughter Jr. is watching all of it from 4th.
Wow, Weishart fighting the wheel. He got close to the wall entering, but he did not hit it. He's able to maintain that runner-up spot over Hearn as Hearn starts to fight with him. Bourne able to stay ahead of Poole as battle for 6th is between 4 trucks right now. Beckner trying to get to the front. He's wiggling on the top. Curhan's under him as a 12th on back of spread out as Jacob Bell might have tapped the wall, but everyone else still got it straightened out.
These two, it's like a sick joke. They're both stuck with damage around the same pace.
And they're not particularly happy with each other either. It's also not for position, let's remind you. Wineland is 39 laps down, Swan is 6 laps down, but you wouldn't know it watching these two. Still putting on a show.
Beckner fell to 10th in all this, and Greg Mitchell will make a pass on him. Whew. Mitchell tried to clear him.
Yeah, that was close. He almost wasn't able to do it, but you definitely tell. I can't imagine a left rear would make the handling this bad, but the speed for sure is out of the 28 truck after pit entry contact. Is might fall back to 11th, and then after that, Alan Elwood's driven his way up to the 12th position.
Yeah, the left rear is by far the least important corner on any racing vehicle that just does left turns, but you have to wonder almost if it jolted the frame or twisted. I mean, I'm not sure the extent of iRacing's damage modeling on this new damage model, but if it twisted anything or bent anything else in the left rear or threw the camber or caster off, yeah, it could definitely hurt you. But the bodywork doesn't look all that bad, so I don't think it's a drag problem necessarily. But with 50 laps to go, whatever it's causing that truck to slow down, not good timing. Although he still is running 6th of those in the playoffs, and that finish, while not amazing, would be okay this week, but next week it might not be good enough.
Yeah, it will be okay, but he did come in tonight, I think 11 to the good, but definitely was looking to gain a lot more and even maybe lock his way into the next round, but unless he gets a chance to repair that, maybe get some track position late, that's why his heart gets chopped by Munsell. Once he gets a chance to repair that, I don't think Beckner's locking himself into the next round.
So we'd be expecting pit stops at lap number 85 to 90, I'd imagine, if you wanted to split this run up. But that's about 10 to 15 laps from now. And a nice equal 25 to 35 lap runs.
We saw on that first set of stops what the undercut did. That's why Justin Munsell's leading. Weishart got the second. Slaughter's 4th. Bronson Stafford's still in the top 5. All these guys got track position out of pulling the undercut. So I think we might see a lot more drivers try to pull that off themselves.
Well, the other thing I'm noticing, Connor, and tell me if I'm wrong in this, I don't see as much movement in terms of the driving on track. It doesn't seem like the trucks are on edge like they were at the beginning of the race. I think part of that is the sun going down. I think part of that is the track rubbering up, but they don't look like they're as on edge, and we're 20 laps into this run.
Definitely not as on edge, but I think the pace, the fall off is still around where it was 1.1, 1.2 seconds. So while the handling is improved for everyone throughout the field, I think that fall off is still going to be a factor. Since that's the same, I still wouldn't be surprised to see a lot of undercuts.
And at home you might be saying, well, you know, if their fall off is the same, why is the handling not the same? Well, you can fall off and the truck can get pushier, or you can fall off and the truck can get looser, or the truck can just get slower. You're just not carrying as much G through the corner. So there's a variety of ways for the vehicle to slow down, but have different handling characteristics throughout. So earlier in the race, as the fuel burned off, we saw the trucks get really slidey. But now that there's some rubber in the track, I think just slower as those tires burn up.
One thing I'm noticing, the majority of the top 10 were on the top line at this point in the 20-lap run or the long run we had last time. Not this time. All the top 5 went to the bottom there as Tom Bourne tried to top it. It did not work, so I think that maneuverability that you have in that top line is starting to fade away here as the sun comes down.
Gary Waterworth, Josh Taylor, Justin Anasogak running together back here. This is for 17th place.
We got a pit stop. Mason Kane. I haven't talked about Mason Kane tonight. Oh, that's a way to get him talked about, but he pits from 15th, and this is like Stafford did very early.
Yeah, so this would put him at 43 laps to the end this time, or next time by. So 44 laps to the end. That is a long run, but yeah, you could make it from here. But yeah, that's risky. But here comes Munsell.
Wow.
From the lead. That is earlier again than I thought we'd see, but maybe they're focusing on the fuel. They know the trucks aren't changing as much, Connor?
Yeah, I mean, it worked last night. I thought the drivers pitting on around lap 85 last night was early, but ended up winning Seth Knoll the race as someone else came in, Josh Taylor, Bobby Tinch. But they know something we don't. I think they want their track position to be end. I also think they must be thinking the fall-off is going to become better, as in the times aren't going to slow down as much. So that must be a factor in it as Weissart's to the bottom. Weissart's going to come down. So everyone trying to respond.
More with them.
Oh, Weishart, very fast. Hearn was fast, too. Got to watch the pit entry speed there as Therian Therian.
Boy, that was fast.
Maybe too fast. There might be 3 speeding penalties there. We'll just have to see.
Bronson Stafford takes over the lead here, Connor, but pit stop slightly earlier than we were anticipating, maybe sensing that the fall off, while similar, isn't as bad and the handling isn't going off as much. So that's definitely changing considerations here, as now Curhan is going to peel off and head to pit lane.
Weishart's
and
away.
He misses it.
Oh, wow. I was about to say everyone who came down last time is good on speed, but that is not going to be good for the 24. He cannot afford that.
No, and he is a playoff contender, so that will be an improper pit-in penalty, I'd imagine. We have 40 laps to go.
Has to be. So you'll see his, because he won't be here next week, likely his next round, his playoff chances, championship chances wash away as left sides go down. He does not pull away as Stafford and the rest of the leaders still stay out.
Well, if anything, that is going to add some comfort to drivers like Justin Anasogak to know that there's a driver that is effectively out of the playoffs with that. And you see the penalty now being applied. So he's out of the playoffs if he can't win this race. And that is one free spot, given that he was considered in. At least under the bubble. But Bronson Stafford and JT Pooler coming into pit lane. Also got word that Travis Beckner might have got into the wall just slightly out of turn 4 about a lap ago, but I don't see any damage.
Yeah, one look back at it, he had a big slide. He did hit it, but really barely tapped it with the right rear, so he got away with it, but you tell that the speed and the handling out of that 28 truck is, we'll see if he, looks like he's wanting to get to the bottom. I think he's pitting here.
Oh, man, Cameron Hearn's splitting the difference there. Tom Bourne, yep, you're right, but too fast.
No. Oh, Beckner's spinning completely out as well.
Beckner spins onto pit lane, and this is trouble for playoff contenders, both for the 16 and for the 28, although the 28 didn't make pit lane, so I don't think that'll be a penalty unless he was speeding, but that's big news. And for drivers that have kept everything together so far, like Alan Elwood, despite that crash, at least on this run he's held it together. Throw the 29 of Weishart in that mix as well. They love to see this chaos here as we get down to the final third of this race.
Yeah, Bourne doesn't get going. Clearly sped for the 16. Unforced error. Haven't seen that from Bourne. Beckner's able to go right away, so very fortunate with a 28 to get away with that, but huge implications for Tom Bourne. Yeah,
sliding under the speed limit. But Tom Bourne, though, you see that pit lane speeding penalty just adding up. And it is a long, long time to spend on pit lane. That is not going to be good. He will easily go a lap down. Denny Ware leads the way.
Denny? I heard Denny, sorry. I was looking at the contact. Senesac and Josh Taylor had contact. They were bickering. Let's see, Wineland pits. Danny Ware still stays out, like you said. Jacob Bell out there as well. Oh, 77's in the wall there, but he's still 2 seconds behind the leader. And really only about 5-6 trucks left to pit. Greg Mitchell is one of those, and he just came down.
The driver that will cycle to the lead is David Weishart, and he is in a really good spot. The next truck
Danny Ware spun on pit entrance as well. Wow, look out.
Jacob Bell almost hit him. Pit lane has been troublesome tonight, Connor.
Really only on this stint. We didn't really see this on the first round of green flag stops. Something about the the temps coming down, the sun going down, must have really changed entry for some reason.
Makes you more aggressive. You know the grip level's there, but then it's not. But Weishart's going to cycle to the lead, and I like where he is. The next driver that's got a significant tire advantage is JT Poole, multiple seconds behind him. So just for reference, here's the 29 right here. And JT is here. And that's only a 3-lap tire difference. So I really like the position that David Weishart has put himself in.
I especially like it because no one's really close to his tire strategy behind him. Munsell, remember, he pit before the 29 and couldn't see how, but the 6 could not stay in front of David Weishart. Now Weishart's got fresher tires than Munsell, and he's looking to pull away here.
Yeah, just put himself in the right position, kind of landed the strategy perfectly here. Now, will this race stay green to the end? That's unknown, absolutely. But he does not want a yellow flag at this stage. I think he's in a great position to win this race, should it go green to the end. And that win would lock him automatically in to the second round of the playoffs.
Yeah, and it would be a big one as well. He ran good last night, and he's looking to do a few positions better tonight. And he's doing a good job doing that. As he's, like you said, he would cycle to the lead. Alan Elwood, Gary Waterworth, Dylan Lee still yet to pit. Still surprised Lee's pulling this long game with how erratic he is on the long run, but got to try something to get track position again as Beckner gets by him. Chops, wow, really chopped him there. Got himself sideways as you see he's still struggling.
Yeah, he and his crew chief Dawson are very, very upset with the driver of the number 26, JT Poole. That damage, they have said, is the cause for a lot of their woes. Of course, the unforced error on pit lane definitely didn't help Connor, but they're claiming that damage is what took away all their speed. And, you know, I'm not no scientist, but, you know, I'm not sure if correlation is causation, but it certainly seems that way. The performance just dropped off a cliff after that pit lane contact, and now Travis only runs 18th. Make that 17th now as he works his way by Shane Therian.
Yeah, I don't believe. Beckner doesn't get rattled when he gets in these situations, so I can't imagine it's his. Oh, wow.
The 83 way up the racetrack there. Not sure if he got spooked or what, but he just went for a heck of a ride.
His tires are not that old either, so
no, just got loose.
Yeah, I was going to say, Beckner doesn't get rattled to the point where he loses pace. I think it's clear that he just squeezes around Senesac that the tires, or not the tires, but the truck is just not correct anymore, just from that slight contact. So really unfortunate, but at this point you can't think about what happened in the past. Just got to cling to the points that you can get here and just surge to the front best you can.
Got only 30 laps remaining. David Weishart only has one more driver ahead of him that needs to cycle to pit lane. That's the 25 of Dylan Lee. But Weishart tonight so far has led a couple of laps. And as far as his season has gone, he has won only one race, and that's perhaps a surprise. It hasn't been as fruitful of a season as I think he would have liked. He won back at Atlanta, but it has been extremely mixed results. Let me just read you off his season finishes. 16th, 29th, 2nd, 8th, 20th, 32nd, 2nd, 16th, 1st, 7th, 15th, and 16th. It has been just triumph or tragedy in his season so far, and this appears to be looking like the former tonight.
Would definitely be one of those stats that you would put on a graph and it would look absolutely wild. But yeah, he has had an up and down season. He really hasn't dominated any races in trucks from my recollection, and he's been in contention for some wins, but he's either never been able to close the deal and probably had to run in with the 7 or run second to the 7 most of the season, but also just had a lot of bad luck and hasn't been able to pull off finishes that he probably deserves. So definitely deceiving that he only has 3 top 5s, 5 top 10s. I think he's ran much better than that, and that's showing tonight.
Dylan Lee finally peels off to pit lane. And this will cycle and shuffle our field back to the order that we'd expect. And 5 of the top 10 spots are playoff competitors. The other 5, Munsell, Poole, Stafford, Mitchell, and Taylor, are not in the playoffs, and they're just having really nice nights. Justin Munsell in particular. Think about Connor, if he had made it into the playoffs, he would be in a really good spot potentially win this race tonight, or at least come away with rock-solid points that would vault him towards that second round. And it all goes back to that crash under yellow last week at Talladega.
Yeah, no doubt about it. It's still a shame what happened, but at this point, it's just about putting away good results and just being ready for whatever happens. And running runner-up here is definitely a big confidence booster to him, I can imagine. It's just a big sigh of relief for something to not go wrong, as he almost did hit the wall there, giving it all he can just to stay with the 29 at this point. But this is definitely a run he needed after such a tumultuous week last Tuesday night.
It was sad to watch it. Flipped over to the camera to see how he had reacted as he goes for a huge slide out of turn 2. We went over to see how he was reacting, and he was just sad. He wasn't mad. He was just disappointed that he knew. I mean, there's nothing you can do to take it back. Apologies aside, there was nothing that was going to undo that moment. So he was just sat there in disbelief for a couple minutes before retiring the truck. But all that aside, Connor, we've got just over 20 laps to go, and the gap from Munsell up to David Weishart is 1.2 seconds. And right now, Weishart is the fastest of the top, fastest of the top 2, I should say. But Hearn, Slaughter, and JT Poole especially are faster, but JT's got 5 seconds to make up if he wants a shot at this win.
Yeah, Hearn was 0.3 of a second faster last time by, so we'll see if anything can happen. We saw Hearn good in the short run, but kind of stalled out in the long run. But the 4 truck's still putting down good laps, as he's another 10th faster. But he does need to get by Munsell. As he goes to the bottom, Munsell defends the top.
Yeah, Munsell's struggling right now with rear grip a little bit. He's been sawing at the wheel. But Cameron Hearn on a mission, and he can't waste a lot of time here with this 6 if he wants a shot at Weishart. These last 20 laps go quick, and he's got his foot in it. Munsell's chasing it up the hill. Here comes Cameron Hearn for second.
Yeah, Munsell wanted to shut his clean air off. It didn't matter. Hearn just has enough grip to just loosen up the rear end of the 6 Raycon Tundra, as he's going to dive to the bottom. Munsell's going to give it everything he's got on the top to not let him go, but I think it's a losing battle as clear high goes Cameron Hearn.
Yeah, it's not enough grip for the 6 to cling to it. So he's going to stay here, right behind the 4 into turn 3. But watch that wheel. It's going to go back to the right here on corner exit right there. It just isn't handling the way he needs it to stay second. But they lost a bit of time to Weishart in that battle. Now can Hearn reel him back in? He's going to have 21 laps to do it.
21 laps to gain 2 seconds. It's going to be a tall task. Oh, Weishart's in the wall. He hit the wall behind Ryan Swan.
That was a pretty sizable hit. Doesn't seem phased, but you see the focus on his face. Let's go back and see what happened again on the Simrat Market replay right there. That was a pretty heavy hit, but I don't see a ton of damage, so he should be okay. And he actually didn't really lose all that much time. He did lose a couple hundredths, but not tenths.
A lot of that was caused by dirty air from Ryan Swan. Nothing Swan can do just running his race, but he is 6 laps down as Weishart close to it again. And even through hitting the wall, Hearn did not gain more than 0.02 of a second on that 29, so could already see the 4 truck kind of falling off here. Yeah, but we'll see what type of ground he can gain if Weishart can't get by Swan.
Yeah, it's important that Hearn takes advantage of this, because he's not going to get lap traffic like this for the well, he's going to get some, but maybe not as fast as Ryan Swan. It's holding up Weishart just a touch, but he still was faster than Cameron Hearn last time by, so maybe there's not much left in the tank for that number 4 as Weishart gets very close to the wall again.
Yeah, that was he's pushing hard right now, but thankfully, like you said, he's by the only lap truck he's really going to see. He's not catching Eric Wineland nearly as fast as he was catching the 1 truck, as now will be Cameron Hearn's duty if he can, Munsell in the wall a little bit. But it's going to be Cameron Hearn's duty now to try and somehow kind of get away from Ryan Swan's dirty air and just get by him if he even gets to him.
Other battles deeper in the field. Danny Ware and Bobby Tinch, 16th place, trading positions, and Therian and Senesac for 18th place. And the goal for Weishart is just have this race stay green to the end. He doesn't want any yellows, no resets, no pit stops, no funny business. That's all the 29 wants. And so far this season, we documented no Scioli tonight. James Scioli has won 4 times. No one else has won more than 2. Cameron Hearn has 2 wins. Everyone else just has 1, including David Weishart. So David would be only the 3rd multi-race winner this season if he were to hang on to this.
Yeah, it would be a big win for sure, no doubt about it. Not only locking yourself into the next round, but also just giving yourself momentum. And we saw it last night. Seth Knoll hadn't won in a little while, wins the playoff opener. Now he's into the next round, and he has momentum. Weishart didn't win that long ago at Atlanta, but he has not had the smooth season that a lot of other drivers in the Truck Series have had. So definitely be one of those momentum boosters that just propels him all the way to the finale as he's into the wall again up ahead.
Yeah, Cameron Hearn has been slowly chipping away at it. Hundredths, thousandths a lap. And he's reeled in Weishart by 3/10 since we last checked in. And this lap in particular is going to be a pretty sizable gain. Weishart runs a 32.124 and a 32 flat for Hearn, so a 1/10.5 gone. And with Weishart making mistakes like that, Cameron, it might not even be close enough to see it, but you can sense it. That truck just getting slightly larger in the windshield.
Yeah, just a tiny bit, as it's going to take a lot more per lap with only 15 laps to go, but he is chipping away as he kind of misses the bottom there. And he's got no one in sight at this point in front of him besides the lap truck of Swan.
Wasn't a very good corner for Cameron Hearn, and he will give up. Well, actually still chipped away another 0.5 or so. It's just little nibbles here and there, but what he's going to probably root for is for David to make a couple more bigger mistakes like he has made the last 5 or 10 laps. Just 2 of those really big wall taps will drag Hearn into the draft here, but he still has to dispatch Ryan Swan as well.
Also might be hoping that JT Poole catches those guys behind him as Slaughter slides out of turn 4. JT Poole has closed in on those 2. Was really closed in on Slaughter for the 4th position, as Slaughter's been reeling in months over the last few laps.
Haven't really talked a ton about Brad Slaughter Jr. tonight. There he is. Started in 10th, ran as low as 21st place, fights the truck a bit out of turn 2, and JT Poole is all over his rear bumper. You see the sly smile there on Brad as he enters turn 3 with JT hot on his heels.
Gives JT clean air on the bottom, slides once again as Poole's going to have a little run on him. See if he goes high or low on him. He'll dive to the apron, get under him. Not surprising there, but how far does he send it in? Don't really want to send it in on old tires. Someone's in the grass. That's Ryan Swan.
Well,
that was shocking. I didn't see him go down there.
Dispatches the problem for Cameron Hearn. Here is what happened to Ryan Swan. I imagine he just starts to walk up the hill right there. Just kind of snapped around on him. Did a good job keeping it mostly straight, but did go for a ride, much like the 12 of Waterworth did early in the race. But Cameron Hearn has been unable to translate that into time gained on Weishart.
Yeah, he lost about 2/10 of what he gained that time. So definitely tires starting to even out, and he's starting to kind of see that chance at a win slip away. But battle for 5th is still hot as Poole and Slaughter side by side. And Bronson Stafford, who's had a really good run tonight, is trying to kind of climb into this battle.
Yeah, so on the same tire strategy as JT Poole. 3 laps better tires than Brad Slaughter Jr. on that outside lane.
Where does he go in all this? Probably the top. That would be my choice here. Maybe try 3 wide, but don't want to get too aggressive with a playoff driver.
Well, here he goes anyway. Not enough momentum to stick it 3 wide, so he'll stay put.
This is the issue with doing the overcut for the final run of the race. Is you have fresher tires, but when the lights come on, it gets so much harder to make a pass. With everyone else has more grip, and it helps everyone. So I think JT Poole got caught out by that tonight.
Under 10 laps to go, 9 now for David Weishart. And he is just praying for the race to run green to the end. Here's Elwood and Jacob Bell. I'm surprised.
This is a win for Elwood.
I was going to say, that truck, with the damage it took to the right front, I am shocked that truck is performing as well. I mean, it hit the outside wall hard, and there's no safer barrier. That's concrete out there. But it's running and running, I wouldn't say fine, but it's not running bad.
No, it's running as good as you could probably hope for it to. If you can get a top 10 out of this, it is an absolute win. On the other side of things, Travis Beckner's battling for 12th. Was battling for 12th with Josh Taylor. And while it's only one position worse than the 10 right now, this would be not a good race for the 28 because it could have been so much more. While it could have been more for the 10 as well, he did not. He had a lot of adversity that he didn't really have time to battle back from, but Elwood did.
Yeah, and Beckner double whammy there with the contact and damage he had on pit lane, plus the unforced error on pit lane. 12th is not amazing. It'll be okay, but again, it's just not giving yourself a bigger buffer to next week, which is when you really might need it. Backstretch battle. Brad Slaughter Jr., Bronson Stafford, JT Poole. Bronson has split the difference there. Gone around JT and now working over the number 8, who's walking up the hill a little bit in turn 4.
And Munsell, he was getting reeled in. He started to pull away from that battle. He's even started to reel back in Hearn a little bit. Looking away from that battle. One driver who's also going to take this race as a big win, Justin Anasogak. He's sitting in 9th right now, and he was nowhere near that for the majority of this race, but he's played track position and the strategy to his advantage to be in the top 10 right now.
Yeah, and again, look at who else has benefited from some strategy. Garrett Grant in the 42. He was running very poorly in the first half of this race. He now runs 7th, fourth of the playoff competitors. That would be a phenomenal run for him. He's going to need another good run next week, certainly to give himself the best shot of moving on, but a really strong second half of the race for the 42 truck in 7th.
Yeah, really good recovery for him. I think Ansogak's going to lose that position to Elwood and Bell, but still, from where he was, it'll be great. I was holding my breath for the battle for second because all of a sudden, Munsell really closed on Cameron Hearn, and they almost touched in turn 1. So 2 battles inside the top 5 right now.
Yeah, this one for 4th is pretty hot. Bronson Stafford, Brad Slaughter Jr., and JT Poole.
Slaughter's really on edge on the top line right now. Stafford's still getting a good run on the bottom too. As Poole's smiling through all this, is just watching the battle at this point as Hearn and Munsell still single file between those two.
No, low pressure situation for Poole. He's got nothing really to race for other than wins, and he knows he's not going to get that tonight, so you might as well just have fun with it. So while these drivers battle for 4th place, you mentioned the battle for 2nd. It is hot here as well. Hearn and Munsell, nose to tail, it's tight.
Munsell, oh, he's going to get blocked down to the apron from Cameron Hearn. Hearn not wanting to give the point up. Munsell's not going to back down either, as he's going to sell it into the bottom of 3. Meanwhile, Stafford and Slaughter kind of touch doors there as the 8
out of turn 4, crossover. Man. And Munsell throws the block on Hearn in return. 2 laps to go.
This isn't going to be nice in the 1. If I know Cameron Hearn, I don't think he'll appreciate that. As here comes the bumper, couldn't get to him.
Yeah, he tried. He took a swiper, no swiping, and Munsell establishes a half a car or a truck length, half a car truck.
Same thing.
As they head down into turn 3. But for David Weishart, he senses safety this time through. White flag one more time around Chicagoland, Connor, as the battle for 5th is still on.
It's still on as the battle for 2nd cools down. Stafford's clear of Slaughter. Now, does Poole have anything left to get the 8 truck, as he's got to make sure he doesn't give up a position to Garrett Grant, who's closed in on this battle as well.
David Weishart of the 29 has won 1 race so far. The 8's in the wall out of turn 2. But Weishart played the strategy to perfection. There have only been 2 multi-time race winners this season. Weishart finally adds a 3rd name to that list. David Weishart wins in Windy City, and Chicagoland goes to the number 29. Justin Munsell, 2nd place. Then Hearn, Stafford, Slaughter, the rest of the top 5.
Then Poole, Grant, 6th, 7th, Mitchell, 8th. Elwood gets all the way to 9th, Bell 10th, Anasogak 11th. Tom Bourne lap down, not a good night for him. But what a job by Weishart. Played the strategy perfection as Munsell gives him a congratulatory tap there. Played it perfectly as celebratory rip of the tires, I think, is in order.
Ripping the vape and ripping the tires, but David Weishart, you see getting the congratulations here. Just cool as a cucumber. I mean, him stressed out is everyone else is calm. He just is clinical with the way that he drives a race car. Tonight led 30 laps, which was not the most by any stretch, only a quarter of the race. But celebrations in order for David Weishart.
Sure is. I've got to Gotta say, there's a lot of drivers who got great finishes out of this season, or out of this night. One of them, I gotta give it to Bronson Stafford. I mean, what a job for him. He finishes 4th tonight. His best finish in area prior to that was 16th. Incredible for him.
A great run for Bronson Stafford. Garrett Grant as well, I mentioned it, 7th place. You see the only driver in yellow, the yellow driver is below the cut line, so Garrett Grant is going to give himself a really good shot at advancing above that cut line into next week. Look down the rest of the order there. Travis Beckner, 12th. Mason Kane, 17th. That is not a weekend that he was looking for. Tom Bourne, big issues for him with that pit lane penalty. Michael Curhan in particular. He's out, confirmed, will not be here next week, so that's a disappointing end to Curhan's run, but maybe solidifies somebody else into the playoffs that wasn't before. Let's talk with our race finishers. Cameron Hearn finishes 3rd, but just. Cameron got pretty frantic there in the closing laps of that race, and aggressive as well. Take us through those last couple laps, trying to run down David Weishart and then fending off Justin Munsell for as long as you could.
Yeah, I ended up getting in the wall on entry in turn 1. And I think I gave myself a lot of damage. I was a little bit slow on the straights and stuff. But yeah, Justin, I caught him pretty quick, and I thought he'd let me go when I was running down Brad, and he raced me 2 laps, and I was saving my right rear. I had problems with that all night, and I kind of had to get on it pretty good to get a run on him, and I got it sideways, and after that, I didn't have the speed I had, but hey, he's racing for a position too, so that's all fun. But good points tonight. Top 3 is awesome. A little bit of a buffer going into next week, but anything could happen. But also, I think Greg Mitchell came up in top 10 to an 8th, so shout out to him.
Yeah, good recovery for Greg as well. The start of the race didn't go so well, at least for a while. But Cameron, putting yourself in great position, a great points night. Good luck to you next week at Phoenix. This is going to put you in a good direction to make it through to round 2.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you. And Justin Munsell wins the battle for 2nd place, barely, over Cameron Hearn. It got frantic and pretty spicy there in the closing moments. And this has got to be, while a great result for you, is this frustrating to finish so well after being eliminated from playoff contention at Talladega last week before they even started?
Yeah, I think you guys have a good idea of what that answer is. It's tough, man. It's frustrating with what happened last week, you know, with how crazy of a circumstance that was, and you know, it was hard not to dwell on it. You know, I really felt like, you know, what's funny is that I'm doing so well in the Pro Series, but I really felt like the trucks have been my strength. I've just been caught up in some real bad stuff during the season, and it just caused a big chaos towards the end trying to get those points back up. But I had one mission going into the playoffs for the races I'm going to race, and that was to prove that I should have been in the playoffs and that I was going to be a contender. I had a level of aggression today that I don't think I've had the whole season, and it paid off at this track. It was a good race. I thought it was over when Elwood and I got together, but luckily with this new damage model, thank you. You know, it saved me. The car was fine. Bounced off the wall a couple times. It was fine. Overall, I couldn't be happier. Well, I could be happier with how the race went, but you know, P2, fun race at the end. I mean, it seems like Hearn and I have been basically neck and neck for the last month, whether it's this series or the Pro Series, whatever it is. But yeah, I mean, hats off to David. I was just talking with him, and I have no clue how he got such a good lead over me. I thought I nailed my stop. I thought I nailed my pit in, all that stuff, and he comes out with a second ahead. So, I mean, with the way these cars pass and on the long run, and with that bubble that kind of gets created, I kind of knew if I didn't push hard right away, I didn't really have a shot. So, I mean, hats off to him. I mean, that's a good win. That's a strong win and much needed for him during the playoffs. But overall, guys, it was a great race. I'll be looking forward for the next week, and then looking forward for Thursday. Overall, pretty happy about it, guys.
Well, certainly no question about whether or not you belong in the playoffs. Only question is what could have been. Justin Munsell, 2nd place tonight at Chicagoland. We'll see you next week at Phoenix, Justin.
Thanks, guys.
Moving on now to David Weishart, your race winner tonight, joins the list of 2 other drivers that are multi-time race winners this season. Race win number 2 for you this season, David, at the right time, getting hot when it counts, automatically advancing to the second round of the playoffs with your win this evening. 30 laps led, and you're through to round 2. Take us through it.
Oh, man, me and my teammate Brad, we noticed in practice that tires seem to mean a lot. And that was while the sun was out. So we fell way back in saving tire, and we thought it was going to be way easier because the cars, once you burn the right rear off, or the trucks, once you burn the right rear off in practice, they were way sideways. And we barely scratched and clawed our way back to where we started. And from then on out, we were balls to the wall, man. When the sun went down, the track cooled off. It gained so much grip. I couldn't believe how much grip it gained. And you just didn't get the looseness. You would get loose for about 10-15 laps, and then the truck would transition to tight, and all the looseness went away. So from that last restart, when me and Munsell were battling to the very end, I was white knuckled. I don't think I took a breath the whole end of the race. It was crazy. I'm so glad to get this win. Phoenix isn't my favorite track, so I think that's where we go next week.
Yep.
And that is just, I'm glad I don't have to go in there racing for points.
Well, David Weishart picks up a second win on the season, and you always look calm, cool, and collected. I know it's not always the case under the hood and the brain there when you're coming, on a race like that. But great work, congratulations, and now heading into Phoenix, you can really be cool as a cucumber. Yeah,
thanks. I may look cool as a cucumber, but my hands are shaking. I don't know if you could see it, but I'm the juices are flowing. So,
well, they're winning juices at the very least, David.
Yes.
So congratulations on that. We'll see you next week at Phoenix for round 2 of the playoffs. Thanks for talking.
Thanks, guys.
Connor, it was a fun race tonight. Had a great time calling this one. And with all that out of the way, we get to look forward to heading to the desert next week. Phoenix, Arizona for the second race of 5 in the playoffs. But great race, great strategy. Fun to watch tonight for sure.
Yeah, very fun to watch, and it's going to be even more fun next week. We go to a somewhat short track. You got the dog leg down the back stretch or I guess the front stretch now, to chop at Phoenix. So you got a lot of potential to use the bumper there, and I think we might see drivers have to use the bumper next week. Besides David Weishart and besides Michael Curhan, I don't think anyone else's fates are sealed. I think everyone's in danger of dropping below the cut line, even Skylerly after misses tonight. So a lot of action we're going to have to unpack next week as well. It's going to be fun.
Race fans, be sure to check out rickshotsauce.com for some of the best hot sauces made locally in South Florida. Try the Loxahatchee Classic, Golden Garlic, Palm Beach Pineapple, or South Beach Heat. Follow the Rick's Hot Sauce Rookie of the Year battle in the Area Cup Series and see which driver will take home the $100 prize as the highest finishing rookie in the point standings. And be sure to check out shop.areairacing.com for merchandise to represent your favorite drivers and teams. Shop from our brand new selections of champion t-shirts, jackets, hats, and more. Easier to shop, quicker to ship, better to wear. That's shop.areairacing.com. Well, Joliet, Illinois says goodbye. We've got one more race here this week, the Area Florida State Builders Pro Series. Finney and DeCuna will be producing that show on Thursday, and we'll see you there. Joliet, Illinois, one more time, Chicagoland Speedway this week before we head to the West Coast, Fontana, California, and Phoenix, Arizona for race 2 of the playoffs in each of the area series. Kyle Heyer alongside Connor Horn. We'll see you this time next week for the continuation of the Area Truck Series.